and welcome to the show, Our Islam and Community Issues. My name is Naeem Shareef, and we have Brother Julius Manis. Good to see you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
We're going to turn it over to you. You had some questions to ask me, and let's just get into it.
Okay, so, for people that don't know, Brother Naeem was in the Black Panther Party, and so I'm going to ask him some questions about that, and also about how he became converted to Islam. So, why did you join the Black Panther Party?
Well, the reason why I joined the Black Panther Party, looking at all that was going on in the civil rights movement, and there were different things that you could get into. You could decide to join or be a part of it. There was a lot of things going. There was the civil rights movement, Dr. Martin Luther King. There was the anti-war movement. There was the Nation of Islam. There was some black nationalist things going on. But what led me to the Black Panther Party, I don't like, and I still don't like, bullies. So if you have someone who's bullying someone, a big kid, bullying a little kid, I don't like that. If you have somebody black who's, bullying someone who's Caucasian, or if you have a Caucasian bullying someone who's black, or whatever, I just don't like bullies. One time, my mother thought that there was an accident not too far from our house, so she thought it was my stepdad, so she ran out to see, if it was him. And it turned out it wasn't, but the police officer was saying, "Lady, get out of here, get out of here." And he kept, poking her with a flashlight. That was completely unnecessary. She was just concerned to see if her husband had been in a car accident, and he's just poking her with a flashlight. So in other words, this person had power, and to me, he was using it, unnecessary. And we saw that in the past, and we see it nowadays that people in power, they abuse their power. So this was the influence for me, was I just don't like bullies. And to extend that, I don't like other countries bullying other countries. So, this was one of the reasons why I joined, the Black Panther Party. One of the things, several things that I learned from the Black Panther Party. And one was to have, of course, self-respect for yourself and your people. And what attracted to me was the programs. I don't know are you familiar with some of the Black Panther Party programs?
The breakfast program.
Breakfast program, yeah. The breakfast program in the Seattle area, I think it was at 4 places. I know I'm going to miss some places, but it was at High Point. And the projects there, it was at Atlantic Street, and it was at Madrona Presbyterian Church in the central area, and there's another place that I don't recall right at the moment. But these programs were programs that help the people. They are programs that serve the people. They were called survival programs, because we realized that a lot of the kids, they'd go to school, they'd be hungry. It's hard to learn if you're hungry. So there was something that needed to be, a need that needed to be fulfilled, and we saw that need. And brothers and sisters, they would, get the donated food. They would go to the place, cook it, and have, the food ready for the students and everything. And I've talked to some people who say, yeah, we remember that. We were fed by that. And the other day I talked to one gentleman. I said, yeah, they gave us a good meal, and then sometimes on the way out, they gave us a donut. So it was, it was memories that people see, that someone was taking part to help them. Another program was the free medical clinic. This was before Obamacare and things of this nature. And to get free medical clinic. And some certain doctors from the University of Washington helped us with everything that we needed to start a clinic. And one thing that's coming up, and I'll say this throughout the program, is the 50th anniversary of the Seattle chapter of the Black Panther Party. It's happening April 26th to the 28th. That's 2018, this year. It's going to be at Langston Hughes Performing Arts Center, which is on 17th and Yesler, and also at Washington Hall, which is on 14th, and I believe that is First Street. So they'll be at two venues, but they're not that far apart. And they're going to have workshops, presentations, special guest speakers, films, exhibits, hip-hop concert, all these things, and we're going to be talking about the programs. And one of the things on the programs, a lot of people, when they think about the Black Panther Party, because it was originally called the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, they think of the guns and everything. That was a part of it. You know, we believed in self-defense. You know, we didn't believe in, you know, just turning the cheek and just accepting things, you know. One of the first programs, well, the first program at the Black Panther Party was the police patrol. And what it was just exactly that. We would patrol the police and make sure that they weren't, you know, abusing people. And we knew the law. You couldn't interfere, but you could observe what the police were doing. You had to be a certain amount of feet away from them, and you could observe what they're doing. So that was one of the things. And, you know, people respond to that because they said, hey, at least somebody's, you know, looking after us and have our back. Another program was the free ambulance program. And it was in just certain cities, but it was just that. Because, you know, you get an ambulance, you know, especially nowadays, you know, it's so expensive. And even back then. There was another thing we had in the Seattle area, pest control up at Yesler Terrace. You know, roaches and everything, so you'd fix one apartment and then the roaches would move to another. So this one brother, you know, he did the training and he got the management to have the people be able to clear out, have another place to stay, and things of this nature. So these are just some of the programs of the Black Panther Party. Like I said, normally people just think of the self-defense, but there's all kind of ways to do self-defense. You know, there's with weapons, there's with your mind and your intelligence and your excellence. The website to go to for the 50th anniversary of the Seattle chapter of the Black Panther Party is www.seattlebpp50.com. So I'll say that again, www.seattlebpp50.com, and those are the numbers 50. Keep checking that because there'll be updates on the website about, you know, the different workshops, the times, and stuff like that. So what I advise people is, you know, we've been giving out a lot of these cards. I know you can't see it, but put this on your refrigerator if you get one of these cards and put it on a magnet so you'll have the dates because it's so easy to forget. Another thing I'll just say on that, because you opened a lot with that one question. It was a revolutionary party, but what we found out and why we did the survival program is because the people were not ready for revolution. They weren't ready. So this is why one of the reasons why the survival programs came in, you know, why we used those, because we were trying to, you know, address the different needs. And one of the things also is that the Black Panther Party had a 10-point program. And we followed that program, and there was, you know, other things that we followed also. You know, we had to do so much reading, we had to do, you know, so much community service and things of that nature. But that, because people say, well, you know, you should have another Black Panther Party. You know, you guys should, you know, restart that. Well, you don't know all the stuff that people had to go through. Right. You know, people died, went to prison for a long time. The government infiltrated the party. So there were a lot of things. I mean, I would say take the good things that the Black Panther Party left and apply those. but realized if we started that up again, the things that would you'd be under the same kind of things, if not worse. So that to get a more history and understanding, like I say, come out to the 50th anniversary. It's April 26th through the 28th. That's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's going to be workshops, films, and the website is www.seattlebpp50.com, the 50 representing the 50th anniversary. Keep checking the website. One quick thing, the Black Panther movie is coming out. And it's interesting that the Black Panther Party started, and then maybe a year or two or so, I'm not quite sure, after that, the comic book came out, Black Panther. So it was interesting that they used that, considering all what was going on with the Black Panther Party, with the government and so forth and so on. So that's just kind of a short little piece about the Black Panther Party.
I had a couple more questions. There's a picture, and I saw Erin Dixon's book in your car.
Yes.
And he's in a police car, right?
You're right.
How did that happen?
I've meant to ask him how that happened. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, the book is called My People Are Rising by Erin Dixon. And it talks about his early life. I believe he grew up he was born in Chicago, but his family moved out here in Seattle. So it talks about him growing up in the Seattle neighborhood, Madrona neighborhood. Talks about the different things that were going on in that time. And then, he talks about that, then he goes into things about the Seattle Black Panther Party here, and then stuff that happened in Oakland, and things of that nature. But it's an interesting story, and that's a good book to read. And another book that will be coming out, his brother Elmer Dixon is writing a book, and we're waiting for that book to come out, because Elmer is a great storyteller. And he also does diversity training. And he goes around the world to do diversity training. And he talks about the good things of the Black Panther Party that can help people. And it's interesting that he goes to places in Europe. The students know the history of the Black Panther Party. It's taught there in certain places in Finland and Sweden and stuff like that. They know about it. They learned it in school. But here in the United States, you don't learn about the Black Panther Party. Just interesting.
Okay. And one, I guess our last question, this is a tougher question.
Okay.
But in the movie for the book, for Erin Dixon's book, My People Are Rising,
right.
It talked about being disciplined, like physical.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
So, when he was disciplined, or just anybody?
Just in general.
I really don't, because I really haven't really thought about it. Yeah, I really don't. You'd have to, ask him about that, because I really didn't necessarily seen it. Only time I saw, another thing that we did, if there was if there was if there was domestic violence in the community, sometimes they would call the Black Panther Party.
Okay.
Black Panther Party took care of it, and I'll leave it at that. Okay. Okay.
All right. So we're gonna go into the second phase of our interview. So what influenced you to become Muslim and join the Nation of Islam?
Well, I used to come to the temple, as they called it back in the day, because the brother invited me, and he said, come on to the temple. So I'd go to the temple, listen to the teachings, and they were interesting. They were different. What I liked about the Nation of Islam, they were serious about black folks. They were serious. They also had a program of what they wanted to do. And so I went for about 6 months before I got my ex. They kept asking me, man, when you gonna get your X? When you gonna? I said, man, in my time, when I feel that it's ready, And like I said, their influence, it directed me to Islam. It wasn't the total picture of Islam. It wasn't the correct picture, but it got me to Islam. And when I heard the word Allah, it did something to my soul, Now I know nowadays, all these terrorists, they shout out Allah, and so it makes everything look bad and sound bad. But then, it touched my heart, and I just kept, going to the temple, listening, and I could see that the brothers and sisters were serious, and I wanted something for the black community. So that's why I accepted it more of, how would you put it, not spiritually, but I accepted it because of the things that were happening in our situations as African Americans.
Okay, and so my next question is, what are the pros and the cons of the nation, positive and negative things?
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, the positive things were, they were serious about affecting the lives of African Americans. The theme that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, do for self. These were things that we needed to do, and we still need to do them. We still need to do things for self. To clean yourself up physically, spiritually, and mentally. Because we were, and to some extent still, we were a dead people. We didn't know our history. We didn't know our religion. We didn't know, we worshiped somebody else. And all these things he cleaned out our vessel. He cleaned it out, tried to get all the garbage out. And just to try to be, do for self, be a better person, be productive, be energetic, be about something. Don't wait for something to come to you, go get it the best you can. Those were the positives. The negative things, I would say, we had almost like the military. We had captains and lieutenants, and they would tell you what to do all the time, So it was, you were under their, what they decided they wanted you to do, So we had temple on Sunday. We had temple on Wednesday. We had temple on Friday. So that's 3 days out the week. Then Saturday we had FOI class. And then after that, we go sell papers and fish. And all this was good. These were things to help the Nation of Islam and also the community, to see that these people out there care. They're trying to give you the paper. At that time, the Muhammad speaks. They're trying to give you the fish to feed you nutritionally. They're trying to get you to think about yourself. So these were the good things. The bad thing was people who were in power, they tried to dictate your life. And that was just too much. At that point, that's why I left, because they were really trying to influence your life the whole time. You had to sell so many papers, and you could be working. I know I was working and going to school, and they still expect you to sell so many papers, make all the temple meetings and classes. But the main thing was they tried to dominate your life. That was the problem.
Okay. And this is a question I just thought of. Was there any conflict being in a nation and being a Black Panther?
Well, I wasn't those at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, so there wasn't. But I know here in Seattle, I never saw any, and never really heard of anyone say there was a conflict between the Black Panther Party and the nation. Okay. Here, I never saw it. Might have been, but it was never an issue. I never really saw that.
I asked that question because I guess around the time of the 40th anniversary of the Black Panther, they had an event at Seattle Central. And one of the brothers was saying that the ex-Panthers, he was saying that, the Black Panthers were good. It was a good experience, but they didn't have that spiritual component. So that's why I asked.
Well, that's why I asked. But thing interesting, I would say we didn't have that spiritual thing. It was more, you know, bam, this is it,
Right.
you know. But you need that. You need that spiritual, I think, in your life to make things, you know, come complete. So, like I say, it's like the Quran says, take the best thereof.
Right.
What you find in the Black Panther Party, that's good, and that's going to help people. Use that. What you find in the Nation of Islam, that's good, you know, use that. Take the best thereof.
Okay, and so how did you go from the Nation to All Islam?
Al-Islam. Okay, so it was around, and I could have the dates wrong, but it was around maybe November of 1974. I had reached the point where I didn't want people dominating my life. You know, I talked about the captains and the lieutenants, they just dominated life. So I just said, well, I'm going to have to walk away from this because I can't have people just dominating my life. So then there was a meeting, I think it was the Fruit of Islam meeting or one of the meetings that we had, and they said, well, everybody hold on till the end of February. That's when Savior's Day was, around February 26th, around that date. And they said, well, just hold on. There's going to be a major announcement. So I'm talking to a couple of brothers. I say, yeah, man, you know how it is. People just say stuff, you know. Yeah, hang on. So I said, okay, I'm going to hang on there. I'm going to see. I can hang on, you know, the next 3 months, whatever, and see what happens. So what happened was that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad passed away February 25th, 1975. So our Savior's Day event was the next day. So some people flew to Chicago, and we took a bus down to San Francisco to see it on the big closed circuit screen, TV screen. So anyway, we get on the bus, we go down, we stop there, we're getting off the bus, and this guy, this African-American guy said, what you Muslims gonna do now? Elijah Muhammad is dead. And we're like, what, man, what are you talking about? You know, we're talking about. So then when we get in the hotel, we got a call that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had passed. So we said, okay, what the teachings has always been, when Elijah Muhammad passed, God's going to come. So I said, well, ain't nothing I can do but be cool about it. Just see what happens. No use panicking or something, you know, because as they say, God's going to come after that. So anyway, they had the convention there in Chicago. Everybody spoke. I'll just make this quick. Jesse Jackson spoke. A lot of people spoke. Muhammad Ali spoke. Louis Farrakhan spoke. Everybody spoke. And people were crying. Not everybody, but some people were really crying. I won't go into all that. So Wallace Muhammad, the son of Elijah Muhammad, they elected him leader. The leaders there elected him leader of the Nation of Islam there. And he spoke. And he talked. And that was it. You could just see a whole new sense of something coming in, a whole new language. And so then I said, okay, well, wait a minute. Let me see where this is going. So I stuck with it. And this leads into the leadership of Imam W.D. Muhammad. What he did, he took the best things of the Nation of Islam, kept that going, but brought in a new language, like man means mind. He talked about how words make people. You know, how I was talking about, you know, earlier, you know, if you build people up, that's good, but if you keep tearing them down, well, that's words, that's influences. Words are influences. So he talked about that. He talked about the Quran as our guide, and that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is our example. And then he just started laying out things. The nation was basically closed just to African Americans, but after a while he opened it up. He said it's open to everybody, because our Islam is a universal religion. It's just not for one group. So the language, the leadership, and there's so much you could talk about him, but another thing was that when he first started off, they called him the Supreme Minister. I don't think he liked that title. Then they called him Chief Minister or Chief Imam. I don't think he really liked that. And then he just called himself Imam W.D. Muhammad, Warith Deen Muhammad. He was born Wallace Muhammad, but he changed his name to Worth D. Muhammad. So you notice how leaders, normally what they do, they build themselves up. You know, they build their leadership title up. But he brought it down, you know, to keep it real. So I know we're only about maybe 2 minutes, but so that's how I came. I just hung around because they said a big announcement was coming. So I hung around, and his language and his leadership, you don't hear much about him. But people should Google, they should go on YouTube, put Wallace Muhammad or Imam W.D. Muhammad, and hear some of the language. And he was evolving us from where the white man was the devil and the black man was God, to that that there's one God, one humanity. So he evolved us to that stage by stage by stage by stage. And what he did was he decentralized. Everything used to be located in Chicago. But he said, you know, your mosques, your masjids, you're on your own. He gave us, you know, our own independence. He said, you don't have to be, you know, tied into us. So this was something different, and this makes you, you know, stand up. And so people say, well, the leader is Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the Quran is the guide. And what Imam W.D. Muhammad has done is given us a language and an understanding of our Islam. We don't get that crazy stuff that you see in the media. We don't get all that crazy foolishness and things that are way out there and are not our Islam. So this is really a blessing that we've had in our community. And as like I said, that Imam W. Muhammad is America's Imam. We don't have to look for leadership across the seas in the Middle East or anywhere else. We have good leadership that has been established by him. So that's what I would say. And like I said, I think we're about out of time. Thank you, Brother Julius, for, you know, being the host today. And just remind people, you know, take the best thereof. We talked about the Black Panther Party, the Nation of Islam, and we talked about Al-Islam. Find the best and try to find people who are willing to work with you, whatever positive group, try to get them to work with you. So thank you, Brother Julius. Appreciate it. Assalamu alaikum to everybody. Peace.